All right, everybody, let us tell you about our trip to Hamburg, Germany. This is Amanda Kay. This is Benny Bassett. If you haven't seen any of the first 30 some odd videos, 33 at this point, I think, hello, welcome. We've been sharing our trip over here in Europe, tour over here in Europe, holiday / work trip in Europe via these videos. So welcome. Also, if you have been listening, thank you. Thank you for watching.
Thanks, Ben's mom.
Yeah. Fair. She'll be like, you have not done one in a while. Anyway, we're catching up. And we're going to tell you about our trip to Hamburg. So we left The Hague and had to take a couple trains to Hamburg, and we made our second switch and found out that our train was delayed like an hour and a half. First time. I mean, honestly, we've heard a lot of horror stories from people, but that was really the first problem we've had. Besides the rail strikes, I don't blame
Those
anybody.
you can
that
kind of plan around.
We navigated around that.
This one was more of a surprise.
This was bad, but it gave us time to have some super dope sandwiches in the train station, and you know it's okay to go slow sometimes. But
we're in good bread country, so
that is the truth. But I was a little excited about Hamburg because I knew that there was big Beatles history there, and I also know that it's just like one of those is that. I've heard, I just have heard a lot about it. It's a port city. Like, I love stuff like that. And I had a feeling that there was a little more to this town, and I was right.
My great-grandfather immigrated he was from a different part of Germany, but he took a boat out of the port in Hamburg to America in the early 1920s, so it was kind of cool to like be in a place and like maybe see like some of the same things he did, more or less.
Definitely saw some of the same things.
Yeah, same water, but to envision what that would have been like for him at that time was kind of cool.
Yeah. Also, if you're in certain parts of the port, it was all old ships, so it would have really looked like that.
Yeah.
Just saying. So anyway, we were late getting in, and I just tried to pack, as I do, as much as we could into a couple hours, get dinner, and then we had a boat cruise because we love boat cruises. If we're in and we agreed on this before we left, was like, if we're in a place for a short amount of time, an evening cruise, skyline cruise, canal cruise, whatever, can kind of just, because they give you a little history, they tell you about buildings, they tell you about the city, it's like the easiest way to see and hear a bunch about one place.
I feel like it's all the perks of a walking tour, but you don't have to walk.
You don't have to do the work.
You get to go on a little boat ride.
Unless the dude who books it for a German-speaking tour. Anyway, we got off the train. Where did we stay? Hamburg.
At the
Inner
city pressure.
It was just a rough day, man. Inner city hotel. We paid a little extra to have a nicer room. Ding, 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 ding. More space. And then we get in, and it was like a pretty warm day in Germany. And it was also, the sun was directly in our room, directly in the window. And we're right next to the train station. So with no AC.
The curtains I think had been open all day, and so that just gave that room time.
The room was on fire,
really
because our plan was to nap for a minute when we came back, because it'd been a kind of a long day, and ain't no way we were taking a nap. So we got out of there.
Mm-hmm. Well, you had tried to turn on the thermostat,
nope,
and it wasn't working,
and I went downstairs, and they said we don't have any rooms. So then I just opened the door and tried to air it out, and that didn't help.
They said, sorry,
so let's just get out of here.
In the 7th level of hell.
Go for a walk, man. And so we did. So we went and saw, there is an old St. Nikolai Cathedral, or St. Nicholas Cathedral, which is partially, the spire is still standing, but the rest of the church, you could kind of even see where it had been knocked down, but it had been part of the firebombing raids from the U.S. and Britain during World War II, and so the whole building is essentially burnt brick, and it's black and
it's been preserved that way on purpose.
Yep, on purpose, yeah, and turned into a museum, much like we've talked about in other videos, where it's like we learn to kind of like live with and live through and around this history without. You can tell a story that's hard to tell for your people without tearing down the monuments of, what happened. And so it was really, and we got there right at magic hour. It was really beautiful. The sky was beautiful. The bells, they put in a new set of bells, obviously, but they still go off. And it was just kind of a poignant moment to have upon arriving in a city. It kind of gives you an immediate memory connection to that place. And like most cities in Europe, there's just water, so much water, and it's beautiful the way they like built these cities on water. I always just in my head was like Venice, Amsterdam, those are the places. No, it's pretty much every city that has, water is a water feature. It's more of the water is featured. And Hamburg was no different, just big, like, another place that kind of reminded me of Chicago, like these big buildings built on Chicago, the river. Anyway, we went to the town hall, which is city hall, gigantic city hall, beautiful, ornate, and I loved like all the flowers on the outside. It was like clearly taken care of and looked after. Then we went and got some tapas. We had we almost always are one of those couples that are like, what do you feel like? Oh no, what do you feel like? Oh no, and I usually say food, and then she wants to punch me in the face. But this was one night we were like, tapas. And so we found a tapas place, and it wasn't far from where the boat cruise was. All worked out very well. We got some good food. And then walked down along the harbor all the way down to the end where the boat cruises were, because there are a bunch of them that go out of there. And got on our boat and immediately realized that it was all in German. The entire tour guide, everybody there, except the lady who was serving refreshments, adult refreshments.
That was helpful.
She definitely spoke some English. I was like, yes, we're going to be fine. But the cruise is very Hamburgian. Hamburg. Because Hamburg is a port city, and it is like all houses and city over here, and on the other side it's just all shipping. Huge. It's like almost like Seattle that way. It's like just I'm gonna fall off this bed. But it was like, and it wasn't like they just drove you by it. You drove
like through operations. It was almost like
a meters away from these gigantic shipping. You see them out in the ocean, and you're like, they're big. You are right next to one. You're like, no, this is. Think of like shipping containers, and they're 10, 12 high on top of a ship that's 20 of them high. It blew my mind. I thought it was amazing. And every dude on that boat was in dad stance, like hands behind their back, like going, I wonder how much fuel this thing is. And I'm sure the guy was telling everyone the answers in German. We'll just never know. We also saw, we went through a lock, which was kind of cool. It was a very quick one, but still pretty neat. We also saw one of the Russian oligarchs like seized yachts as being repaired while seized. Very confusing. I don't know what the rules are on such a thing.
Imagine if you got your car impounded and they fixed it while it was
it's a $1.3 billion yacht that was having another $1 billion of work, something ridiculous done on it. But it was built in Hamburg, and that's why the company that built it was doing the work anyway. And a couple other yachts who I don't know, they were huge. not as big as the shipping container ships, but working on it. But yeah, I thought that was really neat. I did not expect. I thought it was just be like, up and down the river. Here's Hamburg
No,
in
they took
Germany.
us out kind of more into open water where we could see these like big container ships and all the cranes lifting containers onto the
there was
platforms.
the one that was getting tugged out, like a couple tuggy boats pulling it out into and that was going right by us. I mean, right by us.
That's the industry term that they use.
Tuggy
in
boats.
shipping circles.
Tuggy tuggy boat.
You gotta sing a little jingle whenever you need
Tuggy
your...
tuggy boat.
Yeah.
That's what I do for you.
And then you end with the tugboat horn.
Burr. Burr.
Yeah, just like that. That's how you get a tugboat to come and pull you.
Tuggy.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. And that was it. We went back to our steam room and tried our best. I did not sleep. Did you?
It was probably the roughest hotel stay that we've had, but sometimes you just, they all can't be winners, but also it makes the other ones just that much better. Makes you really appreciate AC.
We had to sleep with the window open all night, and we were facing the train station. So all night
you just
got trains and then train weirdos.
Yeah, whoever's
like
coming off of those trains at 2 a.m.
The loudest people. Oh, yoy. Anyway, yeah, I did not sleep, and then we got up early because we had to do laundry, and
we were so tired after such a rough night. We were like packing our laundry, and Ben had like done his research to find this laundromat. And we walk up and there's nobody in there, and he pulls on the door and he's like, "I can't believe it, they're not open."
It's closed.
All
the lights are on, but it's closed.
And he tugs on it. He's like, "I don't know. They said that they were gonna be open." And
I
out of
was so
frustration,
mad.
he pushes the door and it opened.
Who puts a handle on a push door? I don't understand.
The Germans do. That's not the first time that's happened.
No.
Anyway.
No, Handel? Is he German? I don't know. But it's very confusing. Maybe we'll talk about it again in the next video. But we left Hamburg and went to Copenhagen, and we spent 2.5 days, 3 nights in Copenhagen. It was amazing. We'll tell you about it next. When we see you again. Bye-bye.